Today we talked about rounding, and so I'm going to go through a few examples. So here we have 0.673, and we're going to round to the underlined number. So I'm going to rewrite this 0.673. I'm just going to write it bigger. I'm going to underline the 7. So the first thing I told everyone to do is to circle the number that's next to the underlined one. Then we put pretty eyelashes all over it, and that tells us that this is the one that we're looking at. We're not changing this one, we're just looking at it. And when we look at it, we ask ourselves, is this 4 or less, or 5 or more? And we learned a rhyme today. 4 or less, let it rest. 5 or more, raise the score. Well, 3 is 5 or less, so we are going to let the 7 rest. Okay, this is the one we look at. This is the one we do stuff to. So everything before it stays the same. Everything after it turns into a 0. So that's number 1. And we'll do number 2. 4.282. So the 2 is underlined. That's the tenths place. And so we circle the number next to it, put pretty eyelashes all over it. That's the one we look at. Now, is this 4 or less, or 5 or more? Well, this is 5 or more, so we raise the score. That means that we raise the underlined digit. Remember, this 8 is the one that we look at. We just look at it, nothing else. The underlined one is when we change. So that's going to go up by 1. This becomes a 3. And everything to the left stays the same. Everything after it becomes a 0. So this is 4.300. And now we have 12.917, and the 2 is underlined. I'm going to circle this 9 here and put pretty eyelashes all over it. And 9 is 5 or more, so we raise the score on the underlined one. This becomes a 3. This one stays the same. Everything after becomes a 0. So another problem they might see is a problem where they say what place value it is, but they don't underline it. So here it says round 16.748 to the place names. So I'm going to write 16.748. And here it says we're going to round this number to the tenths. Well, this 7 here is the tenths place. So I'm going to circle the number next to it, put pretty eyelashes on it. And 4 is 4 or less. Since this is 4 or less, this 7 stays at rest. So I let it rest. So the 16 and the decimal is before that, and then the 4 and 8 become zeros. So that's 16.7, and I don't actually need to put these zeros here. It doesn't change anything about it. So I'm going to just leave it the way it is. Make this a little bigger. The next one says that we need to round to the hundredths place. Well, this is the tenths, and this is the hundredths. So I put a circle around the one next to the hundredths. I put pretty eyelashes over it. And this is 5 or more, so we raise the score on this 4 here. And the 4 becomes a 5. Everything before it stays the same. Everything after it becomes a 0. So that's that one. And I'm going to leave off the 0 here because it doesn't really matter. So 16.75 is the same thing as 16.750. And our last one, we are rounding to the ones place. And this is the ones place right here. And I circle the number next to it, put pretty eyelashes on it. And 7 is 5 or more, so I raise the score. 6 becomes a 7. Everything before it stays the same. Everything after becomes a 0, so my answer is 17.